Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our Post-16 Careers Week webinar, all about your next steps after finishing secondary school. My name's Caroline and I'm going to be your host for the next hour. So thank you very much for joining us. Just to give you a bit of an outline before we get started, the session today is designed, as I say, to help you understand what your next steps are at 16 plus when you come to the end of year 11 and your secondary school journey. What we're going to try and do today is explain the different options and the support that's available to you if you're a young person with special education needs or disabilities, if you have an education healthcare plan, or if you don't have an EHCP, but you do think that you need some kind of additional support in making that transition to your next steps. So whether you're joining us today as a student, parent, carer or teacher, our aim is to give you a really clear information so that you can make some informed decisions and plan what comes next with confidence. So I'm going to start with a bit of a general presentation to give you a baseline of information. And then we're going to come on to hear directly from our panel of experts. And we've got some great presenters for you to have a chat to this evening, including local colleges and support services here in Stockport. Just a bit of housekeeping before we get started. You'll have no doubt noticed that you don't have the ability today to turn on your camera or microphone. That's for safeguarding reasons. But that doesn't mean that we don't want to hear from you. Today's event is designed to be interactive. This is your opportunity to ask some of those questions that you might not have got the answers to so far, or you don't really know where to turn to. So it's somewhere on the bottom of your screen will be a button with a speech bubble and a question mark in there, and it's marked Q&A. If at any point during today's session you would like to ask a question, you can do so either with your name or you can tick a box to submit it anonymously. So we have no idea who you are asking the question. You can pop that into the chat for any of our panelists or just generally, and we will make sure that we provide an answer to that. If you don't want us to discuss the answer live on the call, please just put response via email would be appreciated or something along those lines. Email reply, please, and we will try and provide an email response after the session if you prefer, particularly if your question is sensitive just to you. Don't feel that you need to disclose those information to us. You can just drop us an email instead or we'll reply directly. So just to talk a little bit through some of the slides that I'm sharing on the screen at the moment. The event today has been commissioned on behalf of Stockport Council and takes place as part of something called Post-16 Careers Week, which is happening all week this week in secondary schools across Stockport. In case you've not had a letter or any communications about that, don't worry too much. You can access all the information about it on a website called Stockport Jobs Match, or you can scan the QR code on your screen now. So if you want to access any of the resources that I'm going to mention now, you can just pop into the search engine of your choosing, Google or otherwise, Stockport's Jobs Match or Post-16 Careers Week, and it should pop up right at the top. So some of the things that the council have provided that you have access to as a year 10 or 11 student to help guide you in that next step decision making include a digital college and sixth form prospectus, which explains about all of the different study pathways that you can choose at 16 plus. So what the difference is, for example, between an A-level or a BTEC or an apprenticeship or a T-level. It talks about the support available for students with additional needs and some signposting to support services that might be useful for you. There is an additional booklet that's produced in an accessible format that's just about alternative provision and about specific support for students with SEND or additional needs. On that website as well is a range of student pathway planners. So whether you access this as part of your lessons or careers education in school, or whether it's something that you want to do at home to help you on a one-to-one basis, or perhaps with a parent and carer, start thinking about what comes next. Particularly if you're a visual learner and you like to write things down, we've got everything on there from kind of future you mood boards that help you do so with pictures and graphics, through to checklists for open days and good questions questions to ask when you're going to speak to colleges, and a whole host of toolkits to help you figure out what might work best for you based on your skills and interests. We also have a whole suite of videos on there. So if you're not quite sure what you want to do as a career one day, or you're not quite sure about A-levels or apprenticeships or different study pathways, you can watch videos from local students and local businesses explaining exactly what's on offer here in Stockport and what they're all about, which is quite nice to hear from those directly. And we've also had a suite of webinars throughout the course of this week, speaking to all the different colleges and sixth forms and training providers and employers directly too. If you've not been able to join any of those, you can watch the recordings back in the comfort of your own home in a slow format to suit you to digest that information in bite-sized chunks. So lots of things there to help you get started. Now coming on to what we're going to cover in today's webinar. First up, we're going to talk about what support you can expect to receive from school in years 10 and 11. Next, we'll have a quick look at your different options when you turn 16, including mainstream colleges, alternative provision, and supported internships. And then we'll go over what's involved in applying to college, what questions they might ask about your support needs, and how you can prepare for this through open days and visits. And then finally, as I said, we'll share some tips on transition planning and where to find extra help before we come on to questions with our panelists. So just to get started, before you leave school, there's a lot of planning that will take place to ensure that you have a really smooth transition. So your school's SEN team and your EHCP team, if you have one, will support you to think about what comes next, what you want to do. So in years 10 or 11, your EHCP annual review will focus on what's called preparing you for adulthood. It's a really great opportunity to think about your goals, your interests, your passions, your concerns, any support that you might need, and practical things like planning for travel arrangements or learning equipment. Now, if you don't have an EHCP, your school will still have a plan in place to help you move on successfully. So the support there when you need it. After year 11, there's lots of different pathways that are available to you. And you should have some kind of careers coach or job coach to help you think about those next steps. So you might decide that you want to go to a mainstream college. And that's somewhere that you can study A-levels, if you're going down the academic route, vocational courses like BTECs or apprenticeships, or newer qualifications like T-levels, which are a bit of a halfway house between the two. For those who need a more personalised environment, there are specialist or alternative provision environments that might be a better fit for you. And if you want to gain real work experience, a supported internship, which we'll come on to in a second, could be a great route if you have an EHCP. And depending on your skills and readiness, and if you have an end career goal in mind already, you might find that apprenticeships are a really good place to start. Now, if you choose mainstream college, you'll have access to a learning support team. So it's a really important point to make. There will be support available. And what they'll do is they'll provide reasonable adjustments, such as things like extra time for exams, mentoring, access to special equipment or software that you might need. And it's important to know that you don't need an EHCP to receive this type of support. You just need to let the college know about what needs you have. The more information you share and the earlier that you share this with them, the more they can prepare for you and make sure that you have the best possible experience. In terms of alternative provision, that's designed for young people who might thrive better in a smaller, more supportive setting. So these programmes often have things like smaller class sizes, tailored learning plans, and a much stronger focus on well-being. These places focus more closely on working with local authorities and support services to make sure that every student gets the help that they need. So if you're concerned that a mainstream college might feel a little bit overwhelming, this could be a really positive option for you to consider. Just to touch very briefly on introducing supported internships. So these are a fantastic option if you're ready to think about work but need some extra support to get there. So they're tailored towards young people aged 16 to 24 who have an EHCP. And they combine real work experience with learning in the classroom. So you have a job coach that will help you develop skills and confidence. And the aim of these is to move into paid employment at the end. So many people who take place in supported internships, and we're going to hear a little bit more about these in a moment, go on to achieve amazing things in the workplace. And on that website that I mentioned at the start of the session, Stockport Jobs Match, which is stockport-jobsmatch.co.uk, on our post 16 page, which is on the main menu option, we have, in addition to that specialist booklet that I mentioned at the start about post 16 study options for those with SEND or additional support needs, we also have a booklet that's been produced all about supported internships and a lovely video about some of our recent supported interns and their employers and the different career paths that they followed. It's a really good video to have a watch of to see others like you who've chosen that route. Just coming on now to college applications. So whichever route you decide to go down, you'll need to submit some kind of application form at some stage. And just to say that the precursor to that is usually visiting a college or a training provision in person. And that's a really good way to find out if it's the right environment for you. You can go to one of their advertised open days, but you can also ask to arrange a smaller, more personalised visit if you think that that would better suit your needs. You can also bring along a parent, carer, or a trusted friend with you if that makes you feel more comfortable. During your visit, it's a good idea to ask to meet the SEND support need and to have prepared some questions that you might want to ask in advance that will make you feel more confident about your choice. I've just covered that one up. Let's skip on to the next slide. I think I might have missed actually the application forms part, didn't it? I'll get back to the applications. So in terms of applying to college once you've been along to an open day, when you fill in your application form, you will be asked about your learning needs and any additional support you require. And it's really important to be open and honest about this. You'll be asked things like how you like to learn, any equipment that you use, adjustments that might help you succeed, and situations that you might find challenging or triggering. And the more information that you share, the better prepared the college will be to support you. So don't worry too much about what you put on there. Honesty is the best policy. In terms of transition planning then, this is all about making your move from school to college or wherever you decide to study or do your work next as smooth as possible. And that can mean things like getting help with application forms, planning your journey to college, and making sure that that right support is in place for you from day one. So parents and carers should be involved at every step so you feel very well prepared and supported about what happens. There's a few additional places that you can go to find help along the way. So we've already mentioned your school SEND team who are there to help you. There's also the local authority transitions team. Lots of trusted advisors, careers advisors along the way who are there for you to book an appointment for. So make sure you're taking advantage of these things. And then we've also got lots of other support services here in Stockport. So we've got PACT, which is Parents and Carers Together in Stockport. That's a support group. We've got Sendias, which has a fantastic website full of support and information. And the Education, Careers and Advice Service here in Stockport that have a telephone number on the council's website that you can get in touch with to book an appointment as well. One of the things that I did forget to add into there was also travel planning support is available for transport from Greater Manchester too. So quick recap. We've obviously covered that there are lots of choices available to you after year 11, but support with that and the planning and consultation and conversations around that will start from year 9 onwards. It's important to know that even if you don't have an EHCP, that support is still open to you. So make sure that you go and speak to those at your school to access that as early as you can. Make sure that you don't avoid open days and submitting those applications without support, that you get help from those that are available. And remember that in all of this, arm yourself with as much information as early as you can as possible, and that you have a lot of choice, that your voice in this really does matter. So we're going to come on to some questions for our panelists now, and we have had some of those submitted in advance. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen briefly so that I can pin all of those panelists to the screen so you can see their faces for the first time. Hopefully I can do that so you can see them all at once. And then I'm going to go around my screen and just ask them to introduce themselves. And then we'll come back to the questions, and then at least you know who is answering each of those questions. And also, as I said at the start, for any of those of you who may have joined a little bit later and missed the first couple of minutes of my introduction, on the screen we have, it might be at the bottom of your screen, it might be on the side, depending on whether you are joining on a tablet or a mobile or a desktop device, but somewhere on your screen will be a Q&A button. If you click on that, you can submit a question either with your name or anonymously. So once we've gone round and asked some of our preset questions, we will come to your individual ones. And I can see that there's been about half a dozen of those submitted already. So I'm going to ask each of the panelists to introduce themselves now. If you want to ask a specific question to a specific person, then you can just address that to them in the chat as well. So Carol, you're first on my screen. If you just want to unmute yourself and tell us who you are and where you're from, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Carol Thistlethwaite. I'm a Learning Support Manager with Trafford and Stockport College Group. I cover Stockport College, Marple College, Marple Sixth Form College and Cheadle Campus.
Great, thank you, Carol. Richard, you're next on my screen.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Richard Mortimer. I'm Head of Economy, Work and Skills at Stockport Council, and I support residents in our local communities with skills, qualifications and getting into employment.
Fantastic, thank you. Caroline, you're next.
Hi everybody, I'm Caroline Morgan. I'm the Assistant Supported Internship Mobilisation Manager for Pure Innovations, which means I set up supported internships across the region and have worked on Stockport Council supported internship and Stepping Hill Hospital's internship.
Brilliant, thank you. Sally, you're next.
I'm Sally Cheshire. I'm from Greater Manchester Combined Authority. I am a Partnership and Quality Lead, which means I work with all specialist school settings across all 10 boroughs of Greater Manchester in relation to transitions and pathways into those future areas.
Brilliant, thank you. Paul?
Hello everyone, my name's Paul Harper. I'm a parent of a young man with additional needs, but in my time I've also taught in secondary schools. I worked in DFE for some time on a range of topics that were to do with young people and the workforce. I'm now self-employed, working for an organisation that's delivering the supported internship programme nationally and also helping with preparation for adulthood. Good to be here.
Brilliant, thanks. You're most welcome. We appreciate having you here, Paul. And last but not least, Kaylee.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kaylee Crompton. I'm the head of Pure College, which is a specialist employability college for students aged 16 to 25.
Great, thank you very much, Kaylee. So I'm just going to pop my screen back on for 1 second. So just to say, please keep those questions coming into the chat box. You can share them anonymously if you don't want to add your details. If you can't find the chat box, you don't want to do it that way, you can just email them to us, info@stockport-jobsmatch.co.uk. I will be monitoring that throughout and trying to pick those up to either answer live or to send you a response afterwards if that's what you'd prefer. So I'm just going to come on to our first question as of now. And I'm just going to remove everyone else's spotlight. And I'm going to pop Sally's on the screen. So just bear with me 1 second so that you know who's answering this question. Lots of change around. We keep changing my screen share, etc. So Sally, one of the questions that we had submitted before the webinar started today was that it's really confusing about all of the different choices that you've got at year 11, isn't it? I mean, you've only just made the decision about your GCSE options or alternatives to GCSEs, and then all of a sudden this big world of options opens up to you in year 11 about not just what to study, but where to study and how to study it. So what advice would you have for people about how to make a really informed choice at this stage in their lives?
Brilliant, thanks Caroline. Just for some context as well, I have spent 17 years as a teacher and assistant head teacher in Salford, so I can see this from both sides as parents and as internal education staff as well. I think the main thing is that we all know that for young people with EHCPs, making those post-16 choices is overwhelming. It can feel like you don't know which way to turn, not just for them, but for you as families as well. So it's important to have that kind of clear, joined up process that makes those choices not only informed, but meaningful and achievable for everybody. The foundation really looking at it is the EHCP review for the pupils that have got EHCPs. The reviews are more than a compliance exercise when it gets to this age. They're a chance to capture those aspirations and update those outcomes, making sure that you as young people, that your voices and your family's perspective is the heart of that decision making by looking at early and making those reviews forward looking rather than backward looking and linking them really to those aspirations and realistic pathways. Alongside this, you will all be open to having a personal guidance interview, which gives young people the space to explore options one-to-one. Now, if you as a parent want to be in those personal guidance interviews, you can be if you think that would help with your child. It's impartial and it's tailored advice. These are really, really valuable because the confidence is still developing as you as a family if you're not fully aware of what's out there. And guidance interviews can really help turn kind of those ambitions into that tangible next step, whether it's further education, vocational training, or down the supported employment route. There's so many different options there. Transitions programs appear, and I've seen a question in the questions as well around what support. Transitions programs bring all of this to life in Stockport particularly and across Greater Manchester. It's an opportunity to have a look at taster sessions, to look at any work placements or supported work placements, to really bring that real life experience, to allow the young people to try the choices, build confidence, and give you as families those reassurances about that next step. And what makes it work locally is that collaboration piece between the schools, the colleges, the employers, and the services, that we're all coming together so they don't just have opinions and options on a piece of paper. It's a pathway that truly fits. And what that is when reviews, guidance, and transition opportunities properly align, it moves beyond that process to that personalised journey, and one that empowers your young person to make that confident, informed choice about their future and where they want to go.
That's really helpful, thank you. That gives us a really good overview about how to have, as you say, that lined up approach to it all. I'm going to move us on next to Carol. So just to refresh your memory, Carol is from Stockport College. And what I wanted to ask Carol about, if I can just add Carol's spotlight, perfect, is that transition process, picking up on Sally's last point about kind of transitions programs, but it can feel really daunting, can't it? That move from an environment that you know well, where you've established a support network, hopefully some friends along the way, you know how to get there, you know what's expected, and then all of a sudden not just one thing changes, but everything is set to change. And that can feel like a really big thing for lots of students of varying support needs. So I wondered if you could just talk us through that really, and how a young person, and particularly their parents and carers, should approach that transitions process.
Absolutely, yeah. First of all, I think it's really important. I think Sally just mentioned that attend the open days, or our open day for our Marple Sixth Form, Cheadle Campus and Stockport is coming up very soon. It's on the 11th of October, 10 till 12. So you might even want to fit in all three if you're undecided about which one. I think you'll get a real understanding about the size of the campus, because as you know, we are mainstream colleges. So you'll get an understanding about the feel of the campus, the size of the campus. So it's really, really important, if you can, to attend that. As you said before, Caroline, sometimes that is a bit daunting for some of our learners. So we do offer a more bespoke sort of look around the campus if you want to do that, if you feel that would benefit you more. You can just get in touch with our inquiries team at each of our campuses and we will arrange that for you. So it's really important to come and have a look at each campus and have a see what's on offer, because it's not the same offer at each of our campuses as well. We have a slightly different offer, what we're offering. Sometimes it's A-levels, sometimes it's more vocational. At our Cheadle campus, we have our choices department, which is an entry 1, an entry 2, an entry 3 programme, which is not offered at our other colleges. So it's really important to have a look around. If you have an EHC, you will be having a year 11 review. We will not know about what you've discussed in your year 11 review. So if you really want to come to one of our campuses when you're in year 12, you need to make sure that that information goes on the paperwork so that your EHC coordinator can then pass over all your information in plenty of time for us to have a look at your plan and make sure that we can meet your needs and we can provide everything that your plan says. If you don't mention us at the year 11 review, even if you're only thinking about us, because you might be thinking about lots of different places at this point, please make sure that it's in your paperwork so that we get a look at all the information about you, so then we can set up things, as you said, Caroline, in plenty of time. So as I said, we won't know about you. The schools don't give us lists, because obviously they don't. So unless you contact us directly or it's in your annual review paperwork, we won't know about you. So we won't be contacting you. We're more than happy to work with you and your school and anybody else who's involved in your support. The last thing I think I would mention is look closely at entry requirements when you're making that college application, something that you talked about at the beginning, Caroline. Everybody will have to make a college application. Your EHC coordinator will not do that for you. You will have to do that as a young person or with the support of whoever helps you at home. Look at the entry requirements for the course, because I think a lot of young people we send sometimes may think, oh, I fancy doing this, but if they look at the entry requirements of the course and they're not going to meet them, they might have to do a 1-year foundation sort of program to get them there, but they won't have been interviewed. So it's really important that if you're going to be stuck between maybe a couple of different levels, that you will have a plan B. You can apply for more than one course at college and you can be interviewed by each department differently. There is a question, Caroline, in the Q&A about the young person with autism. If they feel that a lot of our college interviews are done over the phone, if they want a face-to-face interview, that can absolutely be arranged. But when they're responding on their application for an interview, please put, can I have a face-to-face interview, and then they can alert our team and we can support at that interview as well.
That's brilliant. Thanks very much. I'm going to move us along because I'm conscious we want to get through the preset questions quickly and then come on to those in the chat, because there's more of them than I anticipated, which is great. And I want everybody to get an answer. So I know that Sue from the college can't be with us today. So I'm going to ask you to answer this one for us as well, to talk us a little bit through the college offer for alternative provision, if that's okay.
Yeah, and I think it might answer a couple in the chat as well, questions. So we do offer a programme called Step Into Learning. So it's aimed at those young people that might have been previously out of education. They might have been referred to as emotionally based school non-attenders. So they may struggle to come into college on a full-time course for a full year. They might find that too daunting. Initially, it's a 10-week programme without any sort of formal qualification attached, because it's about re-engagement back into college life, because we do know there are an awful lot of young people out there who struggle with that. If they manage the 10-week programme, then there's the opportunity for them to infill into one of our other programmes that we're running here at our campuses. We also offer a pre-supported internship. That, as it suggests, is for those that are not quite ready to move on to a supported internship. It's a more nurturing, smaller group work. So you will work a lot in the college campus and go out on a few placements, getting you ready for hopefully a supported internship the following year. And we do have 5 supported internships as a college group. 3 of them are open to Stockport residents. That's the one at Stepping Hill Hospital that we work with Pure with. We've also got one at Amazon Man One and HMRC at Salford.
Great, thank you very much. So I'm going to bring us on then to Kaylee to talk to us a little bit about the courses and pathways available at Pure College, if that's okay, Kaylee.
Absolutely. Yeah, Pure College is a little bit different. So we're a very small specialist college. We have 3 years. Our first year is Ambition for Life, second Ambition for Work, and the third is the supported internship. I'm not going to go into the internships too much because Caroline Morgan is the expert on all things internships, so she can cover that bit much better than I would. But there's a couple of messages in the chat where people were saying what's in between. So they're not quite ready. They're not at level 2, or there were questions about age. Pure College is for students aged 16 to 25. So if your child is 17, 18, hasn't been in education, you can absolutely apply for Pure College. Now, we are an employability specialist college, so our eligibility really is that you've got an education, health and care plan, that you fit in that age bracket, but that you want to work. That's what we are looking for, students who have that ambition to work. And we do that really slowly. So Ambition for Life is continuing to develop your life skills, your confidence. It's around engagement, enrichment, but a lot of work experience placements, very supported work experience placements. That's your opportunity to get it wrong, and then we're there to support you. Again, in Ambition for Work, even more placements, all external. We work with companies and businesses all across Greater Manchester, Stockport, and we don't have a set of placements for you to choose from. You tell us what you want to do and we will find you that placement. We continue to support around maths and English. So if you've not quite got your GCSE grades that you wanted, we offer functional skills up to level 2. So students with us at the moment are working from entry 2 all the way up to level 2. Class sizes are 12 at the most. So in the actual college, we've got 24 students in total. So it's small and supportive, but we really will push you into the community and into Stockport and support you to develop that confidence in the meantime. Our open day is next Thursday, 4 till 6. Come and have a look, come and have a chat with us, come and find out what we do. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you then.
Yeah, and for those who haven't come across Pure College before, just refresh our memory on where you are.
Oh, well, you should know because we're right next to the McDonald's on the A6. And if I know most year 10 and year 11s, you'll know where McDonald's is. So we're literally next door. So where the big library is, opposite there, just down from the train station. So.
Great, lovely. Thanks very much, Kaylee. I'm going to bring us on then to Caroline. We've alluded a lot so far today about supported internships. What actually are they, and can you tell us a bit more about them, please?
Yeah, of course I can. So a supported internship is a college-based provision, but it's within a host employer and it's a 1-year academic course. So there is some class-based learning and that happens different times depending on the college. But the main thing is around employability skills, and it can include maths and English if that's appropriate as well. It's for young people with SEND, aged 16 to 24 years old and who have an education healthcare plan. However, for our Amazon and HMRC sites, you have to be 18 to be able to access those employers. That's their regulations. And the aim is that we match the young person's long-term career goals and aspirations to the kind of work that they want to do. So there's a significant amount of time spent on work placement. That is the majority of the working day. It feels different to a college course. It doesn't feel like going into education. It feels like going into an employer. Your classroom may be based within the employer. So at Stockport Council and at Stepping Hill Hospital, there are classrooms on site within that host employer. And you'll do up to 3 placements across the year, which are unpaid, but at any point throughout, the young person can get paid employment. And that is the aim, The aim of this is for the young person to get a paid job, and it's like a try before you buy. So you get those 3 chances to try different opportunities within a host company, and sometimes beyond that host company as well, if that's most suitable. So we'll support and guide you whilst you're on placement. We've got a great team on the sites that help you settle into the workplace, learn the tasks of the jobs, and get to know work-related routines, like getting to the workplace and what to do at lunchtime. And the whole, across the way is to help improve your employment chances, your independence, your confidence, self-esteem and well-being. And the types of careers that people have gone into are things like porters in a hospital, administration, finance. We had a young man went into finance at Transport for Greater Manchester this year, construction, hospitality, a whole range of different careers.
Great. And how do they apply for those, Caroline? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, of course. So the way to apply for a supported internship is through the college's website, or you can go on to Pure Innovation's website. So that will direct you then to the right college, because different supported internships have different college providers. So Pure College has the Stockport Council supported internship. Trafford College, as has already been mentioned by Carol, has our Stepping Hill supported internship, the Amazon internship and the HMRC internship. And then the Manchester College has also additional internships such as Media City, Manchester Airport, Manchester University Hospital, Manchester City Council. And then we do have provision with Eccles College, but that's much further afield for you young people in the Stockport area. So the best thing, the easiest thing is to have a look on Pure's website, and then you can scroll down to the bottom of an education under supported internships, and it sends you to the right college, and then you can apply through that college for that course. And also, if you need to ask questions to ourselves, then please feel to do so. But really, criteria wise, age is open to someone with an EHCP, so you've got to be 16 to 24, and like I say, 18 if it's Amazon or HMRC. Have an active EHCP, be able to travel to and from the work sites that you're going to be at, and really want to get a paid job. That's why you'll be going on to the supported internship in the first place, but it's a supportive pathway.
Great. And just to come on to one of the questions that's been asked about this, the open evening that Kaylee mentioned, will there be information there about supported internships as well, or is that just about the college courses?
No, it's actually around the supported internship as well. So someone will be there who's based in Stockport Council and runs a supported internship. Yeah, so it covers all 3 years.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. And I think we're on to our last question now, so I'm gonna just pop the spotlight onto Paul. As a parent with lived experience, it'd be really great to get your kind of recommendations, your advice about supporting teenagers at this stage who've got additional needs and are feeling a little bit overwhelmed about it. I know that today on the call we do have parents and carers as well, so if you could just share any advice that you have for them about supporting their young person, that would be brilliant.
Sure, yes, Caroline, it's great. So first of all, maybe you're feeling that this stage is about lots of challenges, but I would actually flip that over and say, actually, there's more choice than ever before, in my experience anyway, in terms of what you can do beyond 16. But that means you need to take a bit of time just to sample things, to test things, to go and have a look at different options. Go and visit them at quieter times as well as busier times, and think about it. Get a rounded sense of what can be done. Think about the travel options, as has been mentioned. But while you're thinking about the what, please also think about the why. And that applies to young people as much as it does to parents and carers. What do we mean by that? I mean, well, what's this course going to lead to? Is it going to move you as a young person or your son, daughter towards a more realistic future? Or is it perhaps just a stopgap while you're thinking about other things to do? It's much better to have something constructive And there are lots of possibilities these days. Something constructive that's going to develop a young person into the kind of rounded adults that you're hoping that they will become. So we're thinking about post-16, not just about career options, but about actually the next step towards a really fulfilled adulthood. So the what is important, but the why important. And when we're doing that, let's think about the why. Let's think about the broad view. Kaylee was talking about some of the personal and life skills that Pure College offer, and many other learning institutions offer as well. Yeah, courses are really important, but alongside those courses, people will have a chance to develop themselves personally as well. That might be formally, or it might be more off the cuff and informally. But now's the time to start asking around. Ask friends, ask relatives, ask people you know. What are these people like? What are they really good at? What are the things that are going to motivate them and that they can use in their adult life, so that we think not just about the academic side, but about the personal side as well, and prepare them effectively for being an adult in today's world. And the third thing I put down on that slide is about recognizing rights and roles. I'm sure that up to now, all the parents on the call have been champions, advocates for their young person as they've been growing up. That's the role of any parent, particularly anybody who's got a young person with additional needs. And that's a fantastic thing. And it's something that I'm still doing and you will still do for years to come. But from 16, something fundamental changes, which we as parents and carers need to be ready for. And that is actually our sons, our daughters increasingly take center stage when it comes to deciding about futures. That's the law, in fact. And in most cases, that's exactly what happens. So increasingly, we have to start letting go as parents and letting our sons and daughters make those choices. There are a few things I've learned about that along the way. One thing is, it's much better to start off with small choices than big choices. So it might be letting your son and or daughter make their own lunches when they go to college or go to an apprenticeship or whatever. It might be letting them decide how they're going to get to their learning institution. It might be about bigger things as well, but it's important to give them practice at the successes and the failures sometimes about making those small choices, because that's the safest thing to do before they start practicing on the big things. The Council for Disabled Children did some research with teenagers with additional needs a few years ago, and they asked them, well, what are the decisions that you really want to be trusted to make yourselves? And the answers they came up with were, well, we want to decide ourselves how independent we want to be. We want to decide ourselves where we should do our learning. And we want to decide ourselves how much support we need. In other words, actually, they were making the same kinds of thinking that people without additional needs do. Because we all have that, don't we? We all think about those three things. So if you've had practice at doing those small things, then you've got more confidence and more ability to make really important choices as life goes on and you grow into adulthood. So lots of challenges, but today's about all the exciting choices. Secondly, thinking about that broad view, developing yourself as a person and not simply around your academic development. And then thinking, okay, if you're a parent, how can I work alongside my young person and take on that role, which is just as important as your young person, I'm sure, will think. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Paul. A really articulate way of raising something very important that parents need to be thinking about at this stage in terms of how they support their young person. So I've stopped sharing my screen now, hopefully. And I'm just going to go back to our presenters. Actually, I've just shared I've shared double screen. Just bear with me 1 second. I've stopped that share, hopefully. Yeah, I'm going to pop all of our presenters back on the screen, I hope, so that you'll be able to see all of us at once. Apologies if I have had any issues in sharing slides today. I will make sure that both the slides and the recording are shared with you afterwards. So if you have to listen to the recording on one side and watch the slides on another screen, I do apologise, but you will have access to both. And I'll also pop a link to that supported internship video with you all as well, and attach that booklet for you so that you've got all of the information in one place, and hopefully you'll find that useful. I know that throughout the course of the call today, very helpfully, our presenters have been answering some of those questions that you've submitted live, but I'm just going to pick some of them now to come to, so that if we can provide a little bit of extra steer for you, a little bit of extra guidance, then hopefully we'll be able to do so. So I'm going to go to those that are unanswered at the moment. So somebody has popped in the chat, what happens if your child isn't ready to apply by the closing date and misses out? Now, we haven't really said a lot about closing dates for applications today. I know that the college tends to keep that open-ended. We've not mentioned what it looks like for Pure College. So I'm just going to come back to Carol first and then to Kaylee to tell us a little bit more about what deadlines look like and whether they're a hard and fast thing. Carol, if I can come to you first.
Yeah, ours will open very soon, probably around about the time of the open day, which is on the 11th. So we don't actually close our applications, but I was just briefly answering that as you opened the question, Caroline. I would advise applying anyway. So even if you feel that they're not ready, you can make that application now. So it's in the system, then they'll be offered the interview. If they can't make an interview, they get reminders to come up again at a later date. So they don't particularly close with Stockport College, Tudor College, or Marple Sixth Form. So we still had applications after college started in September this year, but being mindful then that some courses are full, so you might not have the full range to choose from. So my advice would be apply anyway, and if they're good and ready, brilliant. If they're not, they might want to do some transition work, go on the 10-week course, something like that, or talk to us and see if there's anything we can do that's more bespoke.
Yeah, start having those conversations as early as possible. And Kaylee, are there any deadlines around applying to Pure College?
No, we're exactly the same as what Carol says. We're quite open-ended. We have a student that's applied that's starting on Monday. But again, courses fill up fast. I can't speak for Carol, but Pure College is small. So, courses fill up fast. What I would say is that we do provide lots of taster days. Part of our recruitment process for students is that they come and spend at least half a day with us in the classroom to see how it feels, because it's easy. Well, it's not easy, but if you're sitting in an interview room and answering questions, it's very difficult to know how you are going to feel at that college. So throughout that process, there's lots of support. There's lots of us checking in. How are you feeling about it? So I would say apply. Come to the taster days, come to the open days, share your concerns, share your worries, give us the opportunity to explain what support and provide that support. And then if it doesn't work out, you withdraw, don't you? But at least you've got that application in.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense. Somebody else has put in the chat that there's a lot of vocational courses and level 2 courses, but due to their young person having anxiety, they'd like to know a bit more about level 1 courses, particularly around the Stockport area. This young person's got a particular interest in digital and IT, so they don't know too much about DISC. Sally, I don't know if you're able to provide any more information about DISC. I know you've had links to DISC College in Manchester in the past. Do you know what kind of courses they offer?
Yeah, so DISC are kind of an independent specialist college. They are growing year on year. Caroline might be able to come in and answer some bits about their side as well in terms of that. But DISC, they run work-based digital provision. So what they have is they offer kind of foundation level 1, 2, gateway support and supported internship work. They run on kind of a dual basis. They have the college that runs and you do a qualification and you follow a course, but then what they also have is their Senko side, which works on live business briefs with specific pupils, working up on those digital skills as well. And they will work with you as a pupil as to which course and which area is more specialised to what you are looking in. But yes, they are growing, but I would say the same as kind of Carol and Kaylee have just said there. Places they are a lot smaller, like Kaylee said, like Pure, they are a smaller college. They don't have capacity for hundreds of pupils. So it's about going and visiting and looking at what they have alongside that internship. But yeah, they are growing each year. I don't know if anybody else wants to come in and answer anything else on that.
Caroline, I think I would just add, it depends on the level of qualification that they achieve at GCSE. So if they've done a GCSE in IT maybe at school, and they're likely to pass that, then they're unlikely to get on a level 1 course because they've already surpassed that level. So it might be that they come to college and do another level 2 in IT if they're feeling that they're not ready to move on to that level 3. But I doubt that they'll be able to go back to a level 1 if they've surpassed that. If they've not, we do offer IT at level 1, I think, at Stockport. So we also have in our progression department, we have a level 1 digital course. So that's within our sort of more nurturing department, but in progression. So we offer that too, but it would depend on the polls at GCSE at school.
Another one for you, Carol, whilst you're with us. Someone's asked about how many courses you can apply for. So if you're a bit undecided, so this person isn't sure whether they want to do something media design related or something more business related, can you apply for multiple courses with the college, get an offer for both, and then decide afterwards which route you want to go down?
I think, yeah, you definitely, so we do see someone, you can obviously tell those who really have no idea what they want to do on application, they've got about 5 or 6 in there. It just means that they'll be interviewed by that curriculum area, so they'll get an understanding about what the course is going to be about. They will probably be asked to choose which one they want to move forward nearer the time, but they absolutely can apply for more than one course. And as I said before, if you're at that point where you're not sure you're going to meet the entry requirement, perhaps look at a course the level under and apply for both. And then you've been interviewed and seen, you know about both courses, and it's not a shock as much in September when you've ended up on a course that you didn't think you were going to go on because you didn't meet the entry requirements for the one that you wanted.
Yeah,
and that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense, and I think that's the general advice for all students with all levels of needs. You can apply for multiple colleges, you can apply for multiple courses, you can have multiple offers, and you don't have to narrow down your choices until after results day or even after enrolment, or even in some cases after you've started for a couple of weeks. There's still plenty of options for you to change your mind if you figure out that it's not quite for you. But having those conversations early, arming yourself with as much information as possible, and being in dialogue with the provider that you go into and making them aware that you're a bit undecided is the best course of action for all cases.
Could I just add, sorry, Caroline, that if you've had an EHC and we've looked at your plan and said we can meet needs, you still need to come to enrolment, and it's really, really important that you do come to enrolment, because your place will not be guaranteed until you actually do enroll. So you might have been interviewed, we might have looked at your plan, but until you actually come and enroll as a student, that's when you've sort of, because as we've just said, you might have applied to lots and lots of different colleges, so you do need to make your enrolment date, and you will be offered that from anywhere you've applied for. You will need to come in and enroll.
Great, and that's the week around results day, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so it's that Thursday, isn't it? GCSE results. So there's not. We run it for about a week. Enrolment week after that.
It's not just one day, so
No.
you know, if you are wanting to pop to a few different places at that point and see, refresh your memory on all of them, then you can do. Somebody's asked about the support that's available for children who are not currently in school. Maybe they've taken a gap or they've fallen out of mainstream education at this point in time. Richard, I just wanted to ask you about the council support or support services or signposting that you can recommend for people who don't have access to that careers advice at the moment. Where could they go to get it?
Well, the council does have a education careers advice service, and so I'd recommend that people contact them because they will support young people who've been educated otherwise than at school, etc. So you don't need to be in that kind of mainstream setting to access those services. So that's available. If you check on the council's web pages, the information is there with the contact details for them to get in touch. I mean, obviously, there's other additional advice available through GM and National Careers Service and all those sorts of options as well. So plenty of information online. So those resources are available. But just looking at the questions, I know that there's quite a lot of well, not anxiety, but questions about, you know, I'm not sure about this, or how do I do this, or whatever. My kind of recommendation, and I know it can seem a bit daunting, but just about everybody I've come across in this sector are great people, and they're very helpful and very keen to talk to you. So if you've got any questions, you want any advice, support, you just want to test things out, explore the options, do get in touch with the institutions and the key people in those organizations, because they're there to help you and to support you, and that there are no daft questions. You know, ask anything you feel that you want to ask in the way that you want to ask it, and they will provide that advice and support. And that's equally the case for our education careers advice service. So just get in touch with people and talk to them about your circumstances. And even after that, you know, we've talked about early stages when young people start at college. If you've got any concerns or doubts, do keep that communication going. You know, people are there to advise you and to provide support and information. So just keep talking to people.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Richard.
And
Sally,
if I can just add, Caroline,
oh, yes.
just to say, don't forget the SENDIAS service as well in Stockport, because if you don't want to talk to a particular learning provider, then it can be helpful just to take an objective view, go and talk to them about the different options. So you're most ready to help, and they're available online as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you, Paul. Sally, someone's put about whether there is a list of places, a list of providers that offer alternative provision and specialist settings for GM and Stockport. Is that available anywhere? I know within our post-16 study options for students with SEND on the Stockport Jobs Match website, it lists the Stockport ones, but is there a bigger list somewhere where they can access that?
Should be, yes. I tried to answer it and then I clicked answer live instead of type. So yes, there will be. What I can do as part of combined authority work that we're doing is get a list of that. One of the issues that we sometimes have is that more and more alternative provision settings are setting up. So they're kind of popping up left, right and centre. So it may be, yes, we have a working list, but on there might be 5 that have suddenly popped up. So it's a case of looking and working. If your young person attends school, you can speak to the kind of the SENCO and that team. If not, as Richard said, there is the careers team within the council, and we can help from a combined authority view point that out as well. I was just going to pop in the chat as well. I'm just going to answer it to one of the questions. There's a couple of websites that you can use as parents to kind of do one of them. One of them is Talking Futures, and there's National Careers Service as well. They are independent, and they're kind of impartial advice and guidance where you can just click through and have a look at different options. As I say, I'm happy for any information to be sent through to me, and I can work with the schools and you as individuals specifically around any that are home educated from a combined authority perspective as to that advice and guidance that you need. We are here to support as much as we can.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Sally. And just to expand upon another question that's been asked, and I think directed more towards yourself as the GM position. If your EHCP has been issued in Stockport, you attended a Stockport school, you're a Stockport resident, but you want to go, we've mentioned tonight about Manchester College, we've mentioned about this today rather. Is that transition quite smooth? Does that marry over to a provider outside of an SK postcode?
Yes, 100%, and that's where we work with. So we have a post-16 providers network, and what we do is work with all the colleges, and it's around removing those barriers, especially now obviously with the transport system, the access across Greater Manchester of the ease of use of the buses, of the trams. There's work in place around reductions in tram and bus travel as well for pupils with EHCPs, around taking away some of that cost. But any place is open to any child in GM, and if your child is travel trained, if you're happy for your child to travel across, 100% apply to those colleges, because it's about the GM position, it's about social mobility, it's about getting our young people across the city region. And if they want to stay in Stockport, amazing, and if they want to travel to Salford, also amazing. It's those opportunities that are there for them to take by the hands and go with.
Brilliant. I'm just going to come to one last one. A few people have asked about the qualifications around pure college courses, so the Skills for Life, Skills for Work, supported internship. Are they accredited anyway, or as they say, are they more about the kind of work experience aspect?
We do have accredited qualifications, so we do employability accredited qualifications and functional skills, maths and English. Functional skills, maths and English is not mandatory. It's around your aspirations. What do you want from life? Does success look like for you? And if a qualification is involved in that, then absolutely. So, you know, if you're going into hospitality, it might be that you do your health and safety, or your hygiene, food hygiene. So we do have qualifications that are available. But a lot of our courses is RAPA, so it's basically looking at what it says in your EHCP is success for you, and we work towards those targets and goals.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. So just to bring us to a conclusion, we've got 1 minute left. I hope you found today's webinar to be really useful and insightful. We've had some general information, we've had some specific information. A couple of the final questions that you've put in the chat is, you know, will there be a recording of this? Yes, we have recorded it. We will share it afterwards, as I say, with the slides, just in case I've not clicked on the right button and you've not been able to see those on your screen for whatever reason. If you have any follow-up questions from today that you'd like to put to any of our panelists, you can email them across to us. Hopefully that's on your screen now. So info@stockport-jobsmatch.co.uk. You will have booked today through that Stockport Jobs Match website. That's where the recording will be published. It will be on YouTube, but it's easier to find on our website. So stockport-jobsmatch.co.uk/post-16 Careers Week 2025. You can find it on the main menu. It will be on there probably by the end of today, I hope, depending on how quickly it downloads and uploads. But as I say, all that's left for me to say is a huge thank you to all of you for watching, and an even bigger thank you to all of our panelists today for giving up their time and sharing some of their expertise to help guide you through those next steps. So thanks to Paul, to Carol, to Caroline, Richard, Sally and Kaylee. I've been Caroline from Stockport Jobs Match. Best of luck with these next phases. I hope you feel very positive and enlightened after today, and hopefully we see you all again very soon. Thanks very much.
Thank you.